Good morning, Flosstube. My name is Laura, and I'd like to welcome you to Stitching by the Shore, my channel all about cross stitch with a little bit of paper crafting thrown in too. If you are new, I'd like to say welcome. Thank you so much for pressing play. I hope you like what you see. Maybe hit like and subscribe, and I would love to know more about what you like to stitch. And if you're a returning stitching friend, let me fix that. Thank you for being here. I am so appreciative of you pressing play and hanging out with me whenever you get the chance. I know there's a lot of us out here doing Flosstube, so thank you very much for coming and visiting me. And as always, what you stitching? I love to know. Alrighty, so today I have 3 starts. I've decided I'm just letting caution go to the wind in October especially, and I'm just going to start as many as I feel like. I think I'm on 7 currently, and however many happens is what happens, and I'm not going to worry about it in the least. I'm just going to enjoy it. I have several more that I would like to start. We have another 2 weeks of the month, so we'll see what happens. This is coming up a little bit later probably because I am filming later. If you watched all the way to the end of last week's video, you know that life was getting ready to change slightly. And because I am abysmal at social media, I didn't post a picture, which I'll show you at the end, but we have a new little furry family member. We have a new dog in the house, and she's a puppy, and life is crazy, and nothing runs according to schedule anymore. So we're just going to wing it and see what happens. But let's get started. I don't have any other stuff ahead of time to talk to you about, so let's get going in my stitching. All right, so the first one I thought I would do, even though we are smack dab into fall and pumpkin stitching and all of that, I felt like doing some Christmas stitching this week, and I did work on one piece. I'm going to try to maybe bring out a few different pieces. I'm just bringing up my list of projects. Whoops, that's not the list I want. I want this one. And just start bringing them out when I feel like them and work on them. And this one I'd like to get finished this year. We'll see. It's digital, but I'm doing it as a paper working copy, so I don't know how many stitches I have left. This one is called the Christmas Band Sampler. Let me show you. Oh, there we go. From Lost in Stitches Designs. Now, as I'm working on it, I have been working all the red first, and then I was going to go back and do the different colors. And I flirted with the idea back and forth of doing just completely red and make it like a red Christmas sampler. And I kept changing my mind, but I think this week I've finally decided that yes, I think I'd really like it to be all red. It's probably something like 816, but I really like how this color is showing, and I'm just really enjoying it, all the one color. I know, of course, I just got out of it. Let me see. Like there's little trees up here and then bigger trees and then, biggest trees here. But I kind of don't want to introduce the greens, and it's only a couple greens, and the original looks beautiful, so I know it would look fun. But I just really like it this way. So I think you're going to see it as a complete red. I'm going to take out those greens out of my bag, and then the roof was black, but everything else was red. So I kind of just want to do that. I finished this element. I did this entire element. I think I finished some stuff up here because I wanted this would be completely done if I wasn't doing, if I was going to change over to green. And this one might have been completely done if I wasn't changing over. So now I can start however I want. I might start from the top here and work down and continue to do it. I haven't done the bottom row yet. That's going to be a repeat of this. So I might try to do a little bit of that and then do something fun and then a little bit of that because that's the least fun part. This is 18 Count Friendship Green by Fabrics by Stephanie. And I am so enjoying it as it is. And maybe in December, I keep doing these plans like, okay, in this month, I'm going to do this 100 stitches a day. Of course, this was before the dog. So life is that's going out the window completely for the rest of this month. But in theory, this would be kind of fun to do 100 stitches a day in December and try to get it finished by Christmas, at the very least, the end of the year, maybe. So we'll see. But that's where it is. And I don't think it's going to come out for Christmas this week. I'm going to do a different one Christmas this week, but so much fun, really enjoyable piece. If you've thought about it, and it's not as big as I anticipated. I mean, that's obviously the full width, and then this is 18 count, but it's a really nice size. So I am definitely enjoying that. So that's the only Christmas piece I have to show you this week. Although we have it in a Santa bag just because. Okay, so the next piece is my soccer stitch. If you're new, I have a couple of different sports stitches that I do. And this one I follow Aston Villa, which is an English Premier League soccer team, football team. And I do all sorts of, I do different stats, you know, number of stitches for win, loss, draw, clean sheets, scores, yellow card, the whole bit. And this past weekend, they had a bye because there was international play going on. But I was a week behind, so it was perfect because I was able to catch up. So my piece for Aston Villa is Arabesque. Aston Villa are the claret and blue. So this one, that color is kind of claret-ish. And I thought, okay, this would be a great one to continue to get work on. And the season goes all the way through May. So I have really high hopes that this will get finished by then, if not before. So that's what it looks like as a whole. I was really inspired by Jan Hicks's original, so I did keep it fairly close. Not always, but you know it can be done. I did use a Stitchy Stuff Co. variegated floss, although it's lightly variegated, and I'm not stitching for max variegation. I'm doing it for max comfort and ease as opposed to variegation. So you can see it slightly in person, but in the picture you probably can't, and I'm fine with that. I don't have a problem with that. And this time I was really focusing, let me come and fold this down a little bit. I wanted to get this entire piece done, and what was left, I had to finish some of this and all down here, and I had to do over 300 stitches, and I got it. And I think I had a little extra time, so I did a little bit over here. But this is besides the kind of fan looking piece up here, that might be the biggest. This is the second biggest element. And this little face, because I can't unsee it once I see it, is the third. So at this point, we have just lots of letters and some beautiful border down at the bottom and just some different elements here and there. So that will be fun. I mean, the letters, there's probably a few hundred in each one. So that will get me, you know, a letter and a half each time they play, each game. But we're just plugging along. And like I said, there's some good amount of time. Obviously, there's international breaks for World Cup qualifying. There's a break at the Christmas season and a few other places. So there'll be times when there isn't. But Villa is currently still playing in Europe, so that means some extra games as well, past the regular season, or the regular schedule, I should say. So hopefully I'll pick up some really good stitches, and by May, the latest, you'll have a finish. I think this was a start in spring a few years ago, so that'd be nice to get it done in spring again. Alrighty, so next, we're down to 3 months left. July, September, and my October. October's Marigold from Cottage Garden Samplings. All the other months are done, and then they can go into the scrapbook. This one right here could probably, although we're already on October 17th, I was going to say it could probably be finished, but maybe not. I did focus a lot with the flowers, with the marigolds this month, or this week. So that's what you're going to see. This is it as a whole. I really like this gray. This is Ice Queen 18 count from Bestitchme. Arabesque was an unknown fabric. Sometimes if it's unknown, I won't even tell you unknown, or I will say unnamed unknown, one of those types of things. So there are projects like that if that's the case, then I don't have anything to tell you about the fabric. If it's not 18 count, I will tell you. Otherwise, unless otherwise told, everything I do is 18 count. I just love it. All right, so that's what it looks like as a whole. This is one of the only months that I did decide to keep the two colors, the orange and the black. I thought it looked kind of neat, so I decided to keep that. And then let me fold it over. I don't think I've changed any of the, oh, you know what I did change? In the original, there are 2 different shades of green in the greenery, and I decided I didn't care for the second one. I wanted to keep it all the one color. So it's all going to be one color green by the time all this is done over here as well. So I concentrated on this marigold is done. Then we had to do some of the small bits. I did some greenery as well. And then I think I might have had to fill in some up here as well, if I remember. I've done all of the 1, 2, 3. Yes, so except for down here in a little bit, there might be a couple little orange stitches for flowers, but these are, there's 5, say 4 at least, maybe 5 different DMCs. And so it's quite extensive, and I really decided I wanted to get those done. Focus on that. The green will be easy because, like I said, it's going to be all the one color, and then the words. I just have to remember to pull it out, and we'll see how the timing goes for stitching. We're going to start figuring out what the schedule looks like going ahead, where the dog will be at any given time. She's a puppy. She is not house trained, so obviously she has to be watched pretty much all the time so she doesn't have any accidents. So until that really gets going, stitching could be a bit more sporadic, although I may find some good chunks if she spends like the afternoon or sometimes with however we work it with Mo in the office. So we'll see. So that's where it is. I'm hoping to get finished with that. So all 3, I'd like to get the last remaining 3 done by the end of this year. Clearly July and September didn't get done by the end of their months, which I was really trying for most of them. However, that's fine. December 2025, if that could be the cutoff point on that, that would be fantastic. I would take that as a win. All right, next. So that one, October's Marigold, had pumpkins in it. You're going to see a lot of pumpkins from me. If you are new, October is my birthday month. Next Thursday is my birthday, the 23rd, but I've decided to celebrate all month long because why not? I've earned it. I'm going to be 56. If I can't celebrate the entire month at this point in my life, then when can I? So that's what I do. And so I stitch pumpkins, and I invite all of you to join me. So we have a hashtag called #Pumpkin Birthday Sal. I can't remember. I forgot my own hashtag that I've been doing for several years, and many of you have joined with me, which I'm so grateful. Pumpkins you can stitch. Now remember, there's multiple colors of pumpkins. You'll see them as blue, as white. Sometimes I see green ones. I see obviously the orange ones. Any of those work. Pumpkin color fabric, pumpkin colored floss, pumpkin adjacent, if it's a fall piece that, a pumpkin would work in there, but there's just not one in there. I'm cool with that. Go for it. It's just more of us to just have some fun this October and as a community stitch some pumpkins or something pumpkin related. So if you join me, thank you. So that first one, that did have pumpkins in it, and you're going to see several that do. I will, actually, they're all, quite a few of them will be kind of in a row now. So that'll be cool. That way I'll forget to tell you, to be honest with you. I'll keep saying Pumpkin Birthday Sal. Some were started in previous Octobers or this October for the stitch along, and some had already been started at other times, but they work. So I've been trying to get as many of them in as possible from year to year in the month of October to celebrate that. So this one right here, this was actually started a couple years in October. This is Autumn Still Life, and it is from Owl Forest Embroidery. And you can see there's pumpkin colors and some actual pumpkins. Now, I was doing this 100 stitches a day. This past week, since I've seen you, I know I did at least 4, maybe not 5. I can't remember now. So at least 400 stitches, maybe a little bit and change, because it's generally not right at 100. It's usually around 107, 110, because it's about 3 strands that I've been doing. But this is where it got to. And I'm going to call it a win for this month. I was going to stitch, 30 minutes a day, 100 stitches a day, however you wanted to do, 25/7. Any of those kind of stitch games, like with that little bit each day. But I've decided that I don't know what each day is going to bring for stitching, and I don't want to be forced, quote unquote, forced to stitch something. Do you know what I mean? So this time around, I did a lot of border. I worked on some border here. I don't think I came down here, but I did concentrate a lot on this. So I still have, oh no, nope, the 2 layers of border are done. So there's one that is kind of a reddish, not super red, and then all of the green. I do have to go back. Now, Owl Force Embroidery, they did this original with their threads, which I did not get. And I generally, for the most part, will use the DMC alternatives for Owl Forest. However, their flosses, as many of you know, are so variegated that they just pick one of the DMC, one of the shades to do the DMC. And I don't always agree with their choice. And that was the case with this piece. There's at least one that I don't agree with. I think a couple, but definitely at least one. So this, the symbol up here, this one, and that was over here, was just way too bright. So I kind of toned it down a bit, even with the sunflower. There's almost, they kind of remind me of apples. If I look, I'm not exactly sure what they're supposed to be, but I mean, this is autumn. So I think I was thinking of, let me see if I can reach it, 3777. I was thinking of introducing 3777 and doing that symbol over there, because I want to say that the DMC alternative was something like a 919. Can I reach that? Yes, I can. And that one is a little bit more orangey, and I think I wanted slight more red to it. So I think I'll just put these back later. So I think I'm going to leave that 3777 out because I can just throw it right in the bag. I think I'm going to introduce that in here and then maybe in a few other spots down here. I am choosing my own variegated for the pumpkins when I get to them. This and this are a variegated, kind of yellowish, and then this is, I don't know, it's like a fallen leaves. And there's another leaf down here that I would like to do that with as well. So I'm kind of picking and choosing how I want to throw some variegated in. I just buy colors I like and go from there. And then some of the DMCs I'm changing. But I thought, okay, I got a good amount. I probably hit, because I did that day, I might have hit 1,000 this month on it. At the very least, I've probably gotten 700 or 800. So I thought that was a pretty good amount. Where I could say, all right, I got some work done on it. Now let's put it aside and just kind of take things as they go. We'll take a break for a minute and look at my piece here. This actually has a pumpkin both in the decoration and stitched. So this was, oh, I've forgotten who this is by now. But it's a very small stitch. I could see if you do pillows, you could do like a long little pillow or something. And I thought, well, how am I going to scrapbook this one? And I had these great fall different, I don't know if they're stickers or die cuts. I think they're die cuts actually. So the difference between a sticker and a die cut, if you're new to paper crafting, but you'd like to add some, is obviously stickers have the sticky back. A die cut wouldn't. Generally though, they already all are already cut out for you, so you don't have to do the fussy cutting. So I just use double-sided tape. There's lots of types, whether you use a Scotch double-sided, which I do, or you can use, there's dots, there's small little squares, I wouldn't use glue. If you could do a double-sided tape, that would be a better option for these kinds of things, because you don't want them to get wet. But you can mix and match them if you are doing things like adding paper crafting with your stitching. But I thought that was fun. These went really well. Almost like a ticket kind of pumpkin fair, which is what that kind of looked like to me. So I put that one back up there. That's in my small scrapbook. And then I was really hoping, I had a finish afternoon planned. I was going to finish some small ornaments, maybe some scrapbook pages. I was on halfway through the first one, and Mo and Bella came upstairs. And that was the end of my finishing. So I was able to very quickly this morning get one. I had part of it done at fully finishing, and so I just did the rest of it. So this is a very small, tiny ornament that will go on my tabletop tree. I don't have a lot of smalls for the tabletop tree. They're more, the larger ones that look a little clunky on that. So I wanted to get, the idea was to get at least 3 smalls for it, but one got done. One is better than none. I read into the purple here, did just a little purple fabric here. It's very tight borders. And then I just continued the purple with the ribbon. And that's it. So that will go on the tabletop tree. And as usual, my finishing is usually pretty bare bones because this way it's just all about the stitching. All right, so that's the one full finish of the week. So it's a win, right? And I do have the mat board cut for the other pieces. I just don't know backing wise. I'm still thinking about it. So maybe, fingers crossed, you might see some next week. I'd really like to get some done and up before the end of the month. So we'll see. Okay, moving back on to our pumpkin stitching. I started this piece last week and I really wanted to give it a little bit more time. So I am going to show you. This is called Halloween Party and is from Nathnolu Designs. Now I am going to direct you to Sandy, Stitching with Sandy. She had a video out recently where she had pretty much the inside done and then she had the outer part to do. She started at the same time I did and she chose an awesome color fabric, totally different and out of the box. And I believe I was scrolling very quickly this morning through social media, she may have gotten it finished. So I'm going to direct you to her Flosstube, and then I would say her socials are probably the same name, and you can see a great finish. I am nowhere near a finish, but that's okay. Now this one did go nicely into Pattern Keeper, but I forgot to, I never remember to check. So many of you are so good about, okay, I'm at this percentage. I just don't remember. I X out of it and I'm done. Now, one of my dilemmas from last week was if you see this picture, you wouldn't necessarily know that the ghost in the cobwebs inside the skeleton, that's not white actually. It's 712, which is a bit of a cream color. And I asked Sandy what she did, and she did use that. And I hemmed and hawed. I pulled out 3865, but then I decided to trust the process with the designer because I just loved the look of it. And so that is 712. And then I did that. I started to get the outline of the skeleton. You can't quite see, but there's the shadow, the darker kind of green shadow in there. Obviously the rest will be that lighter color. So you'll see it finished up some border. So I got some done on this, but not a lot. If I want a small piece and it's nighttime and I'm pulling out the Pattern Keeper device, then I might pull this one out, but we'll see. You may not see more this month or not. This is 18 count. It's a Mystery from Bestitchme. And I thought the gray, one of the things I appreciate with Nathnolu, isn't that a pretty gray, is that it's almost a purplish gray, actually. It straddles that line. In different light, it's going to look two different ways. Nathnolu show a lot of the patterns with some vibrant colors. There's another piece that I bought that has kind of a deep red. And if I stitch, and I'm sure at some point I will, not this year. I think I have some fabrics that look like that I've gotten usually through Fabric of the Months. And I'm going to really lean into, because I think Nathnolu on some of her pieces, like these holiday ones certainly, have really leaned into awesome complementary fabrics. And I'm definitely inspired by them. Okay, so this next piece here, this is Autumn Provides. It is by Summer House Stitch Works. And you can see there is a pumpkin here, so it still qualifies. I am stitching this as I am with the entire 4 seasons monochromatically, and I am using DMC Flosh. Let me see if I believe it's 319. Let me look. Yes, if you've not used Flosh before, this is what it looks like cut. 319, this is what the tag looks like, and it's a single strand. And so on 18 count, I like the single stranded look of it. I know for some people on 18 count, it's a little thick, and so 16 works better. And I don't know, I've never tried it on a 20, so I don't know what it would feel like. But there it is. And what I've done with the seasons, if you're new, is I'm using the same floss monochromatically, and I'm changing the fabric to go with the season. This is an 18 count unnamed. And I did some car stitching with this one as we were traveling to get Bella. So this entire box was done this week. That was not there at all. I worked on this week some of the border down here. So we're getting there. And then about halfway down all of these pieces were not done, so, and the bottom part of this had to be done, so all of that was done as well. So I'm really pleased with the progress on this one. I think I'd like to get it done by the start of winter. I've not been very strict with myself with those. These 4, when finished, will be part of a 4-piece collection in the scrapbook. I have everything but winter either started, like this one, or finished. So once this one gets done, I will use this green, and I'll find, for winter, I'll do some sort of blue fabric. And you know I have blues to choose from, so that will be fun. But this one still has, obviously, a couple months before we get to the start of winter. So I think if I keep, that one's a great one for car stitching because it is monochromatic. If I am zooming, I don't always have to be really tight. Like the words, I could zoom and do the words just fine when I get to that. So that one definitely can see some stitching time when it's harder for some other pieces. All right, so let's go to my first start. I've mixed them in here. I have no finishes, stitched finishes this week, but that's okay. I don't know how many I will have this month, so we're just riding that train. So if you remember, I did an unboxing. Oh gosh, it's probably like a week and a half now because time just flies. I can't believe it is already the 17th of October, where the month went. I do not know. And in the box from Floss and Flame, which is a local needlework shop here in Dover, here in Delaware. It's about an hour north of me in Dover. It's a wonderful store. And I was sent one of the boxes and did an unboxing. And the chart was from Rebel Stitcher, and it's called Cauldron Boil. And I decided I wanted to give it a start. What the heck? Why not? It wasn't in the original plans, but you know what? Those are suggestions. Now, as you know, with me, I do change things up a little bit, and I thought it would be fun to just stitch this awesome big moon and the witch on her broom. So that's what you're going to see most likely from me. I'll get all of that done, and then if for some reason I feel like, ooh, I want to do more, well, then I just keep going. Now, this came in the kit, so this is the kit fabric. It's Radioactive. It's the Aida version. It's Radioactive from Bestitchme. And I am using the charted, and what was in the box was NPI silks. So I'm just doing everything that was in the box and using as is. And that's where I got. It's more stitches than you realize. This moon is huge, huge. And so I feel like I got quite a lot accomplished getting to where I got, to be honest with you. I very rarely work with silk. There's been different times with kits or kitted up projects that were given to me that had it, and I am thankful for that generosity. So I use it there, and it's just a chance for me to try some. So this is, I think, the second type of silk. This is the NPI, and it is cool. It is soft. I will say that it is very soft. It's a little slippery, so sometimes it kind of falls through. And this is a little bit slighter, bigger count than I'm used to. So I probably could use a bigger needle so that it doesn't fall through, but that's okay. I'm just winging it. That's on me though. Not anything to do with the pattern or the kit, but that's where it goes. So we'll hopefully I can try to get maybe some more of that moon and maybe some of the witch as I get tired of the moon done in that piece, and we'll just kind of plug along with it. If not, then maybe that will be kind of cool to be a finish by next year. All right, next. This was my full coverage that I was doing for the month, and like the Autumn Still Life, I think I'm going to put it away now. I was debating on stitching it for the entire month of October. I started it on the first day of autumn with Heather, the 20-minute stitcher. So let me write down Heather. Heather, where are you? I need to reach out to you to find out how you've done with it. There are lots of people. This is a set of, well, you can buy it as a set of 6, and which would make it almost 1,000,000 stitches. And there are several people doing that. Some of them are beautiful. I decided to just go with the autumn piece, and at some point I could always do some others. This is called Autumn Hollow. It is from Paine Free Crafts. Yes, Paine Free Crafts. And the artwork is by Rose Catherine Kahn. So that's what it looks like. And let me go way up top here. let's zoom in. I am solidly up in, actually, I can't even go over here. I am solidly up in this corner. This corner has lots and lots and lots of confetti. So it's gone slow. However, I got to 2%. And with a piece that is this big, I feel like 2% is pretty good. And so I'm going to put it away at this point and pull something else out. I have about 6 or 7 full coverage that are in, excuse me, I don't even want to say timeout because that's not the right word. They're just kind of on sabbatical for this year and maybe next, because the ones that I am working on, which is probably about 8 or 9, I'm really kind of into them right now. So I kind of want to keep staying into them for now. And at some point, maybe we'll rotate some in and out. This one will probably stay in the rotation because I love the fall colors. I just adore autumn colors. There's just something about them that, I don't know, I grew up in New England, so obviously we always had the change of the seasons and the leaves, and you were just awash with all of those colors, and it was just so awesome that I really do enjoy the fall. But that's where I got to. And what's cool, if I bring it up, you can actually see the cat. And, you there's little elements that some don't, I don't think this one means anything, to be honest with you. No, I don't. Let me go bigger for it. Let me see. No, it's just kind of a wavy thing. Underneath it, I think there's another animal. But I thought that was kind of cool. I still have some confetti mixed in here, but I made a real concerted effort to start filling in the confetti. I am not a full coverage stitcher who does by page, by line, by row, by square, by diagonal. There is really no structure or order to my full coverage stitching. It is what I like to call organized chaos, and I kind of just go wherever I feel. And that is the case with this. So this is how much I've done since the beginning of autumn, September 22nd, I believe it was. So not quite a month. This is 18 count white Aida, 2 strands over 1, full cross, which is how I do my full coverage. And I've enjoyed it. I got a little bit burnt out on the confetti, which is why I think at this point I'm going to call it that I'm happy with the progress that I am at right now, and I don't want to completely burn myself out on that, so we're going to put it aside for now. I was looking through my full coverages to see what I would like to pull out. I like sometimes to do them at night, to do a few hundred, either 100 to 200 stitches each night on a specific piece for a week or two, and I haven't made a final decision on which one I do. I want to kind of maybe look through and see what hasn't gotten as much stitching this year. But that one will go away at this point. My second start of the week. So any stitching I do on Thursdays, I generally don't show on my Friday video because I've already got everything from the previous time stacked and ready, and unless it's something absolutely specific for that needs to be shown on the next video, I wait. And so this was started not yesterday, but the Thursday before. And I got a nice little chunk of started. I think it was 500 to 600 stitches. And so that's what you're going to see. This is Gothic Bat. And it is from Yasmin's Made with Love. Now, I am stitching the Gothic Bat with Mary from Mary's Stitching Corner. I'm just going to put Yasmin because that way it's all of my Yasmin stitching friends. So Mary from Mary's Stitching Corner is doing the bat, as am I. Melanie from Uplift Stitches and Karen D from Twitchy Stitcher are both doing a piece, the same piece, which will be cool to see. I think they both started in different areas, so we'll see it done up from different ways, which will be neat. And Karen the Stitching Owl is stitching something else herself completely. And then Mandy from Mandy Parker is also stitching something. She jumped on and said she would stitch Yasmin as well. So there's lots of people to check out. I'll list them all down below and you can see their Yasmin stitching. And here I am. I bought 3 different ones and I decided to go with this one first. The other 2 are not Halloweenish related. Now is there? No. There's no pumpkins on this. Ironically so. So this one is technically not part of the pumpkin stitch along, but that's okay. This is, let me bring it up. You can kind of see it's a very light purple. It is called Prehistoric. It's 18 count from Fox and Rabbit. And I actually ended up, I hemmed and hawed what I wanted to use for the floss. I could have done anchor floss because that's generally what I've been using when I do monochromatics and things like that. But I decided to pull out some, I had some black floche and I pulled that out. So this is being one strand of black floche on the 18 count. And that was actually, I think, almost 600 stitches if I didn't hit 600. So I'm really pleased with that. And I was able to get a bat in. Now, I did use this for I Spy. If you're new, it is a challenge that I do. And the prompt was a scary animal. And I know bats are very, very good for the environment. I know that they've been decimated with some diseases, and so it's been tough for their population, and they are really good. Like, they eat mosquitoes and all of that, but they're scary to me. So I consider that a scary animal. And also there's spiders on this, and I definitely consider those a scary animal. So it could have worked either way. But that was the prompt. And for my own personal challenge with I Spy, I try to get 200, a minimum of 200 stitches on the piece. So this obviously clearly got that and more. So all of these starts, this one I've only done once. So maybe you'll see it again this week, although I have some other stuff planned. So maybe not. These will all be just fun pieces that I can stitch at any time I want. I am not a necessarily seasonal stitcher who only stitches within a season. So you could see that Gothic back in March just because I feel like stitching it. So I always like to do that, which makes it easy for me to start a bunch of seasonal and then just have them floating through the year. Okay, so this next piece, this one was started last year on my birthday. And I am, in order to get it moving a little bit, because this top section, I'm telling you, I'm using it for the grid iron grind. Now that is let me just write down, Kim Hollenbach is a floss tuber who she does predominantly full coverage, although she does have some other pieces. She is the one that created the grid iron grind as far as I can tell. So if you go to Kim's channel, you can get the details of how she's doing it. Now, I'm not doing it the way a lot of people are. They're just they're picking their team, whatever they scored, multiply that times 10. And that's how many stitches. I, of course, made it more difficult than that. It actually is less stitches unless they score hardly anything. But if they score quite a bit, like I'm using Clemson football, college football, I'm using their team as my team for Gridiron Grind. This past week, they did score a lot. But I think my number of stitches was probably less anyway than what if it would have been. But that's fine. You know, you just kind of go back and forth and pick and choose. And I can always add more. But I am caught up. I did finish through today's Friday. So obviously I think they've already had their bye week. So I don't think they would be having a bye week anytime soon. So I think they'll be playing this weekend. This is Witch's Hollow. It is from Autumn Lane Stitchery. And with the oranges and purples, it was perfect because Clemson is orange and purple. I did start at the top, which means I am really fully engaged in the full coverage up top. Now, as you can see, I'm starting to dip my toe into non-full coverage. Over here, we've started to get into, that's kind of the branches of trees. And then I believe, if I make this bigger for a minute here, I believe over here is the start of a chimney of a house, and you will start to see some of the fabric. So this orange, which is 18 count genuine Gillian by Those Missing Stitches, this orange will become visible as we start to work our way down. Obviously up here, no. There is still, chunks of these purples and different shades there, which at that point then, really the purple gets very little use, if all, farther down here. The majority of this piece is black. I think when I looked at it, it did go into Pattern Keeper. I think I had something like 7,000 stitches of black left to do. So that's clearly what the main color is. I am using Anchor Black for this one, just because I like it. And that's where we are. So this one will continue, as will Arabesque, to get stitches in them. Clemson, I doubt I'd be surprised if they even make the playoffs, but you never know. I really do doubt, though, they'd make it all the way to the end of the season where, you know, you have the championship and all of that. They're having a little bit of a rocky year. Maybe they've gotten their footing out for them underneath them. Maybe not. We will see. So I'm just going to ride it and stitch along as long as their season goes. And then, you know, we'll see what else we can do with that piece. Now, this next one, as you know, I've been doing the artist trading card swap, and I have yet to make my own just because I get so involved in all of these other things and everybody else is invested in everybody else that I forget to do my own. So I decided this week that I wanted to do one, and I was going to use the prompt of earth, which earth and fire were the prompts this year. We have hit the hard deadline for mailing, so if you missed out, that's okay. Look at the end of January, beginning of February of 2026, and there should be a new swap coming out then. So there's plenty of chances for you to try it in 2026 if you'd like. So when I think earth, one of the things I always think of is mushrooms. They just feel earthy to me. You usually have to clean off all the dirt on them when you buy them and all that stuff. And I remember seeing this piece when I did a flip through. It's called Sweet Mossy Home. And it was in the, let me show you the front of the magazine. It's in a magazine, so there we go. I'm using my magazines as well, which is always good. The Summer 2024 Just Cross Stitch magazine. So this is the one it came from. It's Quaternion Creations is the designer. And so I was all excited. I was like, I'm going to do the mushroom and this frog. The other mushroom I was thinking of doing, I couldn't decide which one and how to do it. So then I went looking for other mushrooms, and I remembered this piece. And I believe I can do, I'm pretty sure it's going to fit. Remember, trading cards are 3.5 by 2.5. And I'm almost sure that these two guys will fit. So I was all set. I pulled out, I was just going to do Vintage Country Mocha because I thought that would be kind of cool with this. I go to pull the flosses. This piece is charted in Treenway silks. I think I've said that right. With no DMC alternative. Not even an anchor alternative. I would have taken that and then just done the changeover anchor to DMC. Nothing. So I said, okay, I'll go online and I will look for a Treenway silk to DMC chart. Nothing. As far as I could tell. I didn't do a humongous deep dive. There were other silk conversion charts, but I didn't see one for that. So what did we do? We pull out, I'm telling you, this thing, I've had my money's worth 1,000 times over. This is my DMC book that has the actual DMC wrapped around it. So worth it if you think you're ever going to change, or like in this case. And what I did was I looked at the picture and then I tried to match up colors because I really did like this color scheme. Even the frog, who is a little bit lighter than you'll see some traditional frogs, I wanted to kind of keep it that way. The mushroom is not exactly the same, but it's fine. And then we haven't gotten to the frog yet because I was hoping to have this started and finished, but let me show you up close. Having to do all of the conversions and changing around threw me for a loop and took into my stitching time for this. So I know it's harder to see. That is, I can't remember what I pulled for that. In person, you can see it fine. And then there's going to be the frog and it's going to be cut down. So I'm not particularly worried that it kind of ghosts in a little bit. But those are the 3 colors I chose for the mushroom. And I think the top of the mushroom is pretty similar, as is that kind of olivey color that's around the mushroom. The stem, I would say, is a little bit different, but I like it in person. So this is just a scrap of 18 count Vintage Country Mocha. And then the frog will go, I believe, on this side. Hopefully I will have a frog to show you next week. And if I'm really, really efficient, depending on what our life is like next week, then you might see it fully finished. We will see. Now that we've hit the deadline for mailing the cards, I give it a good 3 weeks because the post office sometimes sends them on little trips and vacations to other places besides just straight to me. So I always want to make sure that they have time to get here to me. And then I will do the show and tell before I do all of the swaps. So that will be coming up probably closer to, actually it would be the beginning of November at some point that you'd see that. You won't see that in October. Okay, so next piece. The other thing that I am enjoying doing is the Whip into Shape challenge, which is from Andrew, the Runner Stitcher. Let me just, I know Andrew gets linked every week because I've been doing this since he started it in May. Andrew is running the New York City Marathon on November 2nd, and which is a few Sundays from now, actually. And so he's created a challenge for every mile he runs. Multiply that times 10, and that's how many stitches I do each week. I have been doing it at the end of the week. I believe I stitched on this one this past Monday. I had some time, and I did it on Monday. So I'm caught up through Monday's runs. I know now he'll be tapering because that took me through his longest run. So each week will be a little bit less until we get to Marathon Day. But if you are new, the piece I had finished my previous piece that we were doing, which was a stitch, was it Stitchery? Yeah, Emma Congdon. And then I decided, how far could I get on this piece? And this is Spring Quaker. So I started the August 31st, I believe. I went from one piece to the next, and I pulled this one out as my Whip into Shape piece. And this is from Leela Studio, if it is something you are not familiar with. And I did a pretty full conversion on this one. Some of the pinks are this similar-ish, if not the same, but I chose to move away from the browns and go to, for me, spring means green. And I chose various greens, and then just everything kind of played off of it. So let me show you the full piece first. That's what it looks like. This is 18 count rose hips from Under the Sea Fabrics. And as I've said before, the entire outer part is done except for, I'm not going to do my initials here. I'm just going to do some sort of one of the little motifs, the tiny motifs. Now, I had told you this last week. I did choose this for an I Spy for a piece that had more than 10 motifs. And boy, does that really follow. But my focus has been for pretty much every week that you've seen it, has been this center block, because that's where I am in. And so this time around, I think I had 350-ish stitches or so to do. I had just the top part of this house done. So I completed the entire house. I did this entire house. Yep, except for just underneath. And then the porch right underneath there. But basically, these two houses are entirely done. And then I also did this little fence and the little bush right there. So that was, well, cutting off some of the top. But basically, 350 stitches focused there. Which made it pretty clear to me that this will not be finished by the time Andrew finishes his marathon that day, or whenever however it takes me to finish the challenge through that last day, right? It might take me a few days afterwards, depending on what the weekend looks like that weekend. But I still have one large tree like this and 3 more houses over here. Yes. And one of them is a fairly large house. So there's no way, I think, at this point. And I still have stuff to do up here, and a little bit of words. But I do not believe, I think there's more stitches here than there is miles in Andrew's training program. So I will just do my best, see where I am at the end of that. And then, maybe I just find something to continue with at this point. Whether maybe it's not weekly, maybe it's every other week or something or other. On average, it feels like we've stitched around 300 stitches each week, whatever, sometimes more. As we taper some, it'll be less. So maybe I pick some sort of number and I kind of work on that every other week or something. It'd be nice it would have been really cool to get it done by the marathon, but I already finished one previously that needed the work and to get finished from the marathon stitching. So maybe just by the end of the year, that'd be cool. I have no idea ultimately what I'm going to do with all these. We have this one in summer started if you're new. And then I do like the other 2 ones, but I have not started them. I refuse to start anything else until one of these gets finished, at the very least, if not both. So that was my Whip into Shape piece. My very last piece to show you, I had started to use it for the the focus weekend from Whip Warriors. Whip Warriors is a Facebook group. It is a challenge group that is currently closed, but the end of November. So we're probably a little bit around a month away, maybe a few weeks past a month, when they will open it. And they open it generally near the end of November, and from then through the end of the year, you can join. And they have challenges that you can play along with to see how it works, if it is the type of thing that works for you. And if it doesn't, that's fine. You basically say, not for me, and you don't join for 2026. Even if you do join and life gets in the way, or you just get kind of stressed, you can say, I just can't do it this year. And they're fine. They're like, no problem. It's not like you can't rejoin in another year. They don't say, oh, well, you joined and you dropped out, so you're done forever. No. Sometimes life gets in the way and you just can't do anything, right, about that. So if it's something that you want, you'll hear me and several other Flosstubers who I know are part of it talking about it. We'll give you plenty of notice. You'll have time to join and give it a try if you'd like. The focus weekend is to stitch, however many you can on a specific piece. Now, I never just do one piece, but I do try to give it a certain amount each day. That just didn't work on focus weekend, so I never showed it to you. I had gotten maybe 200 stitches, 250, and I said, you know what, I'm just going to wait until I get some more. And I was able to get some more this week. So now it's had at least 500 stitches since you last saw it. So I thought, okay, this piece is so big, that's a good amount to show you. This is Black Roses, if you're wondering, and it is from Owl Forest Embroidery. I am doing it mostly monochromatically. Ironically, the roses I'm stitching in a red. I know, it's called Black Roses. When I saw the piece, I haven't said this in a while, I thought Maleficent, because there is that kind of, she looks kind of like an evil queen to me. And so I had it in my head that I really wanted to do a purplish fabric. And I wanted it kind of smoky. Not, I don't want to say evil, but kind of that mysterious, kind of smoky, plumish purple. And I had this piece from Under the Sea Fabrics. It's called Pomona. It's 18 count. Now this piece will be much bigger, but that's the end of my stitching. So that's all I'm going to show you right now. And I am using a Stitchy Stuff Co. floss for the red. And that's all of the roses up top. There'll be more as we get below, but now I'm in a huge chunk of black stitching. And I'm just going to roll over here for a minute because I did over here. This is Anchor Black that I am using on this one. And I concentrated all in this area. So I think when I did the initial 250, I was getting all of these finished up and over through here. Then I did this entire piece over here and started to come down. I did have the start of this statue or whatever here, and I believe that. So that wasn't new, but all of this and up through here is. Now this piece is mirrored, if you can tell from the flowers. So what you see over here, I have to repeat over here. And I have that started, but there's still lots and lots to do. Mary from Mary Stitching Corner, who recently has a video out. Mary put a video out this week. Hooray. She started this with me. This was our new year, new start this year. And then she's using it for Whip Into Shape. And she has gotten amazing progress. She is farther than me. So if you'd like to see it stitched in a farther section than what I've got, then go check out Mary's video. Her videos are fantastic anyway, but you will see a beautiful amount of stitching done on that one. And I do like stitching that one for challenges. At this point now, because we're in the black part, it is essentially monochromatic. And depending on where I am, I can get some good progress. Other areas, not as much progress. So we'll see. But that's where that one periodically comes out for challenges. That's why you see it fairly often because of that. I'm probably, oh gosh, I don't remember what the percentage was. I don't think I will get anywhere near 50% even by the end of the year. So that's probably at least a 2-year project. If not a 2.5 year. So we'll see. It is the way it is. That's okay. I enjoy it and it comes out when I want it to bring it out. So that's that. That's my stitching for this week. And Black Roses was I Spy. I used it for the prompt black. I thought that was appropriate, right? Lots of black stitching. So what else is going on? That's it for what I did. For my plans, Pumpkin Birthday Stitch Along, I still have more pieces that I'd like to start. And I'm just going to do all the starts. I'm actually going to start next week with Mary and Karen. It's not in this folder. It is over here. We're going to start this Skating Santa from Love Poppet. So if you'd like to join us, please do so. That would be a lot of fun if you joined us. So I'm going to have some more Christmas going along with Thanksgiving there. And whatever else kind of just tickles my fancy. I am starting to look for the rest of November. Last year, November, I did my own kind of bingo challenge. I think I'm going to do that again. So I have to start thinking about that. There'll be I Spy and some other challenges. And then thinking I have at least 3 starts I think that I'd like to do in November so far. Excuse me, potentially more. We'll just play that along. And then I'm also starting to think about what December looks like and 2026. The way I always look at it though, plans are suggestions. Nothing is ever set in stone. And if it changes, I don't worry about it. I also don't go really into the weeds deep into my plans most of the time because I know it can change. So why get too far deep until I've actually started? Because otherwise, if I change, then it's just starting from scratch again. I am considering, along with I Spy for 2026, there is I don't know if it's going to be a year-long kind of challenge game kind of thing that I am considering creating for myself. And if anybody wants to join along with me, you are always more than welcome. So I don't have all of the details. I have to kind of start sitting down over the next, say, 4 weeks or so through the end of November, thinking about it, how it would work. And then if it is something that I would say, yes, if you want to join me, if it's not too rough and tumble, then I will talk about it in December if you'd like to join me. So those are some plans, immediate and longer term. Alrighty, so what I've been doing with the trading cards is, if you watch me each week, at this point in the video after my plans, I always show you what has come in the mail. If in the, I don't know how many weeks it's been now, 6 weeks. If I've not said your name, that means I have not received your card. I can try to go back. If you haven't watched my videos, I can look through, but I have limited amount of time at this point, especially now, to do that. So, and I have been doing this in my videos. So I can do it, but I can't promise that I will get to it in a timely fashion. If you send me an email and say, well, have you gotten my card? I don't know. I have to go through everything because there's too many to remember. And it all sorts of blends in from each one. But what I have received this week, Annette, I received yours, Annette R. Michael, yours came in. Candace S, yours came in. Make sure there's nothing. I always make sure there's no addresses or anything on the back. Elise, I got yours with the very cute sticker. And then, and I'm sorry, Siv, I meant to look it up this morning, and it's been a crazy morning, and I apologize, but I got yours. So they made it safely from Norway. Yay! So thank you. Those are the ones that I have received in the mail this past week. It's funny, it never fails. Usually something comes in on Friday, which is really funny. And I'm always like, ah, darn it. Now I gotta wait till the following week to let people know that it came in. Then, you know, I've talked about Lisa from Paddock Lane Designs. She's an Australian designer, as well as she has a shop. She hand dyes fabrics, and she sells, she's basically is a kind of a one-stop shop for all of you wonderful people on the other side of the world, and a place for you to find pretty much all the kinds of things that you would want and need for stitching. And so she has fabrics of the month, and I received a lovely package from Australia. So I wanted to show you 3 different fabric of the months here. This one right here, this was October, and it's called Vineyards. Now, Lisa knows that 18 count is always my thing, so that's what we have here. Look at this. That is so cool. So I have, in essence, if I wanted to do some sort of piece and incorporate both this kind of fun kind of light blue with the purple, I can. Or I can have this as be a color for one type of pattern and this be a completely different one. So I so love that idea. So this one was called Vineyards. Whoops, almost dropped them all. This one was September fabric of the month called Dusky Sky. And oh, look at that. That is very pretty. Very, very pretty. So you've got almost some tones of blue, kind of think about that sky, but then also tones of purple. And a much lighter though, you can tell that's Vineyard. And this is and almost some reds or oranges. There's lots of different, it's one of those pieces, if you keep looking, you'll see more colors. So that one is called Dusky Sky. And then the last one to show you, it's blue, yay. This was also October fabric of the month. So she does have different, if you go to her site, she has different things that you can get for the fabric of the months and however you want to sign up. And you do that through Patreon. So the Patreon gets you different fabric of the months. This one is called DY. And look at that. Oh, isn't that beautiful? There's not a blue that I will not like. You know that. I love blue. That is so amazing. Oh, Lisa, these are fantastic. Great, great job. Once again, I really enjoy Lisa's Aidas. I'm an Aida stitcher, as most of you know, and I'm an in-hand stitcher, and the feel is always just so lovely with them, and I do enjoy them. Lisa, you do a great job. Now, also, there's more fabric to show you because it is the beginning of a quarter. And October was the beginning of a quarter, and Lynn from Those Missing Stitches, every quarter, she rotates most of her Etsy store out. There are 2 pieces that are a year-long availability. Most other things are rotated in and out. And she always brings in some new colors at the beginning of a quarter. And so usually the very first day, October 1st, I was on Etsy and I was looking at her stuff. January 1st will be the same thing. And I'm always sucked into some of those colors because Lynn also is very talented with color and does a lot of great different things. I'm going to show you the 3 new ones I got. But before that, there's one other piece. This must have been from last year. And I just didn't, I don't always pick them up, right? And then I'm inspired the next year. So this is not a brand new color. This is called Civil Cindy Lou. Everything is 18 count. As you know, that's what I do. And I was just intrigued. I mean, look at this color. Again, 18 count. So everything in different counts or types could be different. I was like, I don't have a clue what I'm going to do on this, but I am so intrigued by it, so I bought it. And I think there's could be some really cool ideas that I could do on this one. So that was Civil Cindy Lou. The next 3, I think she did 4 new colors, and I chose 3 of the 4. So the next one here is called Malicious Mr. Hyde, and it's kind of a version of like a chalkboardy. Oh, look at that. As usual, I will say, and you know this by now, if you watch many Flosstubes, the modeling that you see is much starker on the camera than it is in real life. While I can see this modeling, it is it's much more subtle than this. So if you're worried about that, and I remember before I was getting a lot of hand-dyed fabrics, I would get worried and say, what in the world are you going to do sometimes? If something is truly very modeled in person, I will let you know so that you'll know. But this one is a subtle, very modeling. So a great piece for grays with the modeling that kind of gives you that spooky night kind of thing if you wanted to do a Halloween. But there's lots of different items you can do with grays. So think outside the box. It's not just for that kind of holiday. This next piece here is called Magnanimous Marmy, and here is kind of a brownish, purplish, more brown, a deep shell might be the way I would describe it. Again, subtle modeling is there, but it is subtle, and it's very pretty. And I think this one could be used. Consider it like a neutral for yourself, and you could use it for so many different things. I have, and I don't know what fabric I'm going to use yet. I do have an upcoming Thanksgiving stitch that I'd like to do. And you know what? I'm going to do a floss toss with this, thinking about it. This might work, but I don't know. And then the very last piece, it's funny because you know how taking pictures of anything, right? When we try to show our projects on Flosstube or Instagram or any of these places, and or Facebook or whatever, you take a picture and the colors sometimes never come out right. So I was not 100% sure what I was expecting with this one. I was just going to give it a try and see what happened. And I am not disappointed. This is the 18 count version. It's called Magical Matilda. And look, it might be slightly darker than that, but look at this green. This is gorgeous. And while yes, it can be used for the holidays, it could be used for so many other things as well. And I have no idea what I'm going to use it for, but I love it. So I'm really pleased that I went and I got this one as well. Sometimes I'm not sure and I just say, you know what, I'm going to just get them for the heck of it. And Lynn, thank you as always for the stickers. I love stickers. I use them in my challenge book as well as my stitching journal. I guess you could call it stitching journal, whatever it is. It's my daily stitching book that I do all of my stitching stuff in. Stickers get used all the time, as well as sometimes this, obviously, things like stickers could go in my scrapbooks as well. So thank you, Lynn. Loved your quarterly pieces this year. Fantastic job. So that's what I have to show you there. And that's it for the stitching part. So if that's all you are here for, then thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you hanging out with me, and I will see you next time. All right. If you want to hear about life, well, life is pretty much now just dog 24/7, right? So, many of you, if you've been here long enough with me, know that when I first started my floss tube, I had my little, well, I call him a puppy, but he was clearly not a puppy. My little puppy Shamrock, and he was a little Havanese, and we had him until early May of 2022. That's when we lost him. Shamrock, Havanese themselves are very often kind of like the Velcro dogs. They find their person and they are just stuck to you. And I was Shamrock's person, so I took that loss hard. I mean, if I talk about him too much here, I'll probably start crying again. So it took me a long time, and even now I'm not. I was a gentle reawakening into getting another dog. Mo, who Shamrock loved, but you know, it was just a different relationship, has been really itching for another dog. And so I opened up that door and said I think I was ready, and Mo kind of went from there. Now, we do get Havanese because I have allergies to most dogs. As much as I love them, if I spend more than a couple hours with them, I'm quite ill. But Havanese, for whatever reason, along as being a lovely, awesome little dog, I am able to be around. So we kind of were looking around to see where there would be a Havanese that would want a home, and we found little Bella is, so Bella is born to a family who is of show dogs, actually. Her parents are show dogs. Her sister is a show dog, but Bella was decided, it was decided that Bella was too small to properly show as a Havanese. And so she went to a family, or I think it was an individual, who had never had Havanese before and just decided that Havanese, I don't know why, but was not for her. Well, I think it's because she kept the hair long. We don't do that with the dogs. Most Havanese, if you see them as show dogs, they are little mops, right? Shamrock was never like that way. We always kept him as a puppy cut. So Bella was sent back so she did not stay with that person that she had started to live with, and went back to the farm where she was one of 20 dogs and just kind of lived. And so we found out about Bella, and we said we would love to add her to our family. And so Bella's sister, plus some of her other dogs that she lived with, I'll call them roommates, were showing at a dog show in Maryland this past weekend. So Mo and I drove to Maryland on Saturday and picked up little Bella and did a one-day trip. It took about 2.5 hours to go to where it was from where we are in Delaware to where she was in Maryland, to pick her up. And we turned around right away because there was that nor'easter barreling towards the mid-Atlantic states of the United States. And we luckily got home before any bad weather started. It had been raining earlier in the day, but not anything like what was coming with the wind and the rain and all of that. And so now Bella, being on a farm, but with a bunch of other dogs, had never learned about potty training, so that is new to her. And so even though she is 10 months, there's things that we need to teach her, and as if she was a smaller puppy. And that is one of them. So Bella came to us, and then we had this nor'easter. Luckily, we were okay in Delaware. There were various places that were flooded. There was one area up the coast, up from us a bit, that had to be evacuated because of flooding. I hope everybody is okay. And there are parts of, as you go south, there are parts of the actual main road that gets flooded because it's between a bay and the ocean. And so all of that was closed off. I know if you go as far as Bethany, which is in extreme southern Delaware, there was extreme beach erosion, and I don't think you can actually access the beach from the boardwalk because there is a humongous drop-off because it lost a lot of sand. So here we are thinking we have this dog that is not potty trained, that we have got new to this house, and we've got this nor'easter, wind gusts of 40, 50 miles an hour, rain and yuckiness and all of this thing. And we didn't know what to expect. Well, she loved the outdoors. She had no problem with the wind. She had no problem with the rain. Now, let me show you what she did look like. If I can show you, she's like two different dogs. Well, through the weekend, through the storm, she was what a typical Havanese would look like. So let me show you that. If I can find the picture. You know what, this one will work. I'll just show you this one. So this is what she looked like with all the hair. She was a mop. Poor thing, couldn't see all that hair in the rain. Oh yeah, and we were out, on a regular basis, and then have to dry her all off and the whole bit and everything, whole 9 yards. So we got through the weekend. Let's just say potty training is a work in progress, and we'll leave it there. Puppies are exhausting because then you have to follow them everywhere too, because you got to make sure they're not going off somewhere to have, to do their business. And then of course you got accidents, and she's chewing and all of this stuff. So I don't want everything in my house chewed up if I could avoid it. So she had a busy, we brought in a dog trainer to help us with her right away, just to kind of teach some of the basic stuff and things like that. So she met the trainer on Monday. She's not been around a lot of people because she was at this farm that had lots of dogs, but very few people interactions. So she took to Mo and myself, especially Mo. She is attached to Mo. But she took to both of us very quickly, but everybody else she's a little unsure of right now because she's just not used to being around people. So we're slowly trying to socialize her to people. Well, Tuesday, we had a mobile groomer come in. They do just exclusively little dogs. We found out in our neighborhood about this groomer. And so now this is what Miss Bella looks like. This is right after her haircut. Isn't she adorable? And I really hope she keeps those eyebrows forever. Isn't that the cutest thing? It's so funny that the hair is white right there. So that is Bella after her haircut. She can now see. She's not dragging along the floor with her hair, and I think she's much happier with that. And then she went to the vet yesterday. So she's seen a lot of different people this week. The kids are coming down this weekend. Now Bella is 10 months, and she actually is in heat. So while we had plans of doing some stuff downtown with her, she will not be coming with us now. She'll stay home for her own protection, and we will go out and about and then come home and play with her here. So her life is going to be a little bit more sedate than we thought it would be, but we have to do what's best for her at this point. But she will get some more interaction with the kids and hopefully start to trust more people that way. But she's taken to the house really well. She sleeps, we put her in a crate at night to sleep, and unless she has to do something, she stays in, and she sleeps in the crate just fine, you know, and she doesn't like to have an accident in the crate, which is great. So, okay, we've been waking up in the middle of the night, but at least we know that that's one thing she doesn't like to do. And so we're slowly trying to teach her that she has to do her stuff outside. But I'm exhausted. And the rain and the weather from last week was very difficult on me physically, because I'm sure if anybody who has ever had a type of arthritis will know when the weather is bad, so is pretty much everything pain-wise. So it was difficult, new dog, bad weather, dealing with that for myself. But I've gotten through it, and I've got through it with some friends. So thank you to the friends who definitely helped me. You made a huge difference in my life this week, even if you don't realize it. And so we're just kind of just everything now, like the day starts later, your timing is different, everything is kind of different right now. So I know this weekend is 24 hours of cross stitch. I will get little bits of stitching here or there because, you know, the kids sleep late or somebody's doing something and I'm kind of can chill myself and whatever. So there'll be a little bit, but I will not have like a formal, probably 24 hours cross stitch. Maybe next weekend. So if you can't do it this weekend and you want to join me next weekend, maybe we'll do something together with that. But and then Mo took this week off from work to kind of acclimate everything. And so now we were talking last night, how is this going to work with when he goes, he works from home, so he works remotely, so that's fine. But how is this going to work, you know, with Bella? And she's very low to the ground, so I physically have trouble like picking her up or putting the leash on her or things like that, because that there are limitations with my physical limitations. So we're still working on things like that and how all that'll work. So next week will be a work in progress, like everything else in stitching here, and we'll see. But if you have any tips, tricks, or whatever that if you were a puppy whisperer and you want to give us any tips or tricks, I'm willing. It's been 15 years since I had a puppy, and when we did have Shamrock as a puppy, and he was little, he was probably 3 months when we got him, it was all on me, because at that point, you know, Mo was working in an office and going every day. The kids were at school every day, but I was 15 years younger. In a much different place. So it's different. It's so different. And it's amazing. But yeah, anything you got, bring it to me. Life-wise, otherwise, frankly, is all dog all the time. But that's all right. She is very sweet. And hopefully as she gets more and more comfortable to the house here and us, she will be even more of a little sweetheart and start to let her personality really shine. She's a jumper, though, and we're really scared because Shamrock really hurt his knee because he was also a jumper. She has no fear. She is up on the couch, flying off the arms of the couch. She wants to try to fly. I've caught her a few times because she wants to go up the back of the couch and fly off. So that's where we are now too, trying to get her not to do all of that. She is a daredevil, and we didn't realize that. So anyway, so that's it. That's life. If you're here, thank you for listening to all of my dog gushing. If you're not a dog person, a special thank you, because that's just where life is right now. Alrighty, so as always, my friends, I hope you are well. I hope you are safe. Please take care of yourself, and always remember, always, that you yourself as a person, you are important. Please don't forget that. Please don't let somebody else make you feel less important. You are important. You matter, and it is just so important. And I hope you realize that. And until next time, happy stitching.